the opportunity to review some of the recommendations that Commissioner Schundler made on Friday as part of that agreement. I rejected them. I believe merit pay has to go to individual teachers. I believe that if there are going to be layoffs, that those layoffs should be done based upon merit, not based upon seniority. And so some of those concessions that Commissioner Schundler suggested to me, I rejected. And we have submitted a Race to the Top application today that does not include those. Merit pay for individual teachers. If there have to be layoffs of teachers, reductions in force, those should be based upon merit, not based purely upon seniority. That if we're going to have a group that's going to study how we effectively evaluate teachers, that can't be a group that's made up just of teachers from the teachers union and folks from the School Boards Association. It's got to be a group that's put together by the governor that stretches across a number of different disciplines. So those things that Commissioner Schundler suggested would be appropriate compromises to make, concessions to make, I rejected. I told him on Friday to go back and rework it and to go back to the original plan that I laid out in the beginning of May. Those are the principles this administration stands for. And so the application is not submitted in the form that the teachers union would want. It's submitted in the form that the governor wants. And I'm happy to get recommendations anytime that any of my cabinet commissioners want to make those, but they need to understand that those are recommendations. I take them with real serious consideration, but in the end, these were core principles that I've been campaigning on since I decided to seek this job. And candidly, these are principles that I'm in lockstep with President Obama on. And this is a unique moment in American history. We have a Republican governor in New Jersey and a Democratic president of the United States who agree that merit pay should go to individual teachers, that agree. They had time to evaluate the new package. This was the package that was presented to them at the beginning of May. There's nothing new to it. This was the original package that we put together. At the very end of last week, Commissioner Schundler suggested that he would bring certain suggested changes to me, and that he felt those were changes that he at least could live with. I don't, I can't, and I'm not going to. Now, I still think that the teachers union should be signing on to an application that could bring $400 million to the state, and if they're not signing on, why aren't they signing on? Because they don't believe that teachers should be laid off based upon merit, but rather purely based upon seniority? In what other industry does that happen? In what other industry does it happen that how long you're in someplace is determinative of whether you keep your job rather than how well you're doing your job? If they're not going to sign on for that reason, then I didn't want their support anyway, because they're not joining with me and President Obama to try to reform the American education system so that we don't fall further behind our foreign competitors. If they don't believe that merit pay should be given to an individual teacher, who in fact earns that merit pay, but rather should be given to the whole school to be distributed to the whole school, that's not how I view merit pay. Merit pay is to be earned by the person who deserves it. And so if they're unwilling to sign on for those reasons, well then, they weren't on board with my reform and President Obama's reform from the beginning. So it's better that we find out about that now, not sometime later, because remember, if we get this money, we have to institute these reforms. And so I don't want to find out later that they're not on board. If they're not on board, they're not on board. And I would love to have them on board. And I think they should stand up for those teachers who are being successful in their union, and not just the ones who've been there longest. So, should they be given longer? They've been given since the beginning of May to consider these proposals. It was only last Thursday that